All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to week number 4. That is right, week number 4 of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I am your professor, Dr. Jace K. Alston. And what we are going to do this week in our check-in video is we are going to first do a quick state of the course update, which isn't going to take very long. And then after that, we are going to look at a legal forms database. And this legal forms database, even though I'll be using the Missouri version, there are versions of this for most of the states. And so you may want to contact your local public library and make sure that there is a version of this for your state that they carry. And if so, this is a resource that you probably want to know about, not just professionally, but also I have used it to help people personally. So with that said, let's first get into that state of the course update pause. All right, so this week we'll be looking at communicating as a reference professional, and you also, of course, have an assignment related to that, your virtual reference practice. That is going to hopefully, especially after you do these readings, hopefully that will give you some practice in knowing exactly how to deliver reference, knowing certain nuances, knowing what you can't assume about the knowledge of the person that you are interacting with on the reference desk, and so on. There are certain ways, certain things that you have to do when you are in the position of a reference librarian and you are trying to deliver reference to a constituent. And also the different forms of reference, they tend to have little nuances that make them different. For instance, if you're doing chat reference, that's a different ballgame from in-person reference, and both of those are a different ballgame from my least favorite, which is phone reference. I cannot stand phone reference. When you are, depending on what medium people are using to communicate with the library, that's going to affect your delivery. So these are some things that you want to keep in mind, and there are probably other readings that you might be able to find out there that get into that in more depth. But I would just say that, a lot of times chat reference it seems like chat reference is the way that people are going these days as far as our younger students, our millennials and Gen Zs. They are going for chat reference, and it seems like when they elect to do chat reference, it's convenient for them because they can do other things. They can think about what they're saying before they say it, and so forth and so on. So I think that's part of what makes it popular. Also, things don't get quite as, I don't want to use the word intimate, but there seems to be some distance, some personal distance that people are allowed to maintain and stay in a bit of a comfort space when they're using chat reference. But in-person reference is also great. In-person reference allows you to read the nonverbal cues of the person that you're working with so that you can tell when they probably have enough information and that sort of thing. And then I would say the email reference is always great if you actually need to go and do some background research and try to put together a more polished bit of information that you need to return to your patron. Phone reference, I think, is the worst of all worlds. Just like in-person reference, you are in real time, so you have to figure things out quickly. But then also, just like chat reference, you can't really pick up quite as easily on people's nonverbals. So I hate phone reference, but that is how some people choose to reach out. So bear all that in mind. The next thing that I want to say when it comes to the state of the course update is all of the where are they? All right, there we go. So our database unassignments, those should now all be turned in. I've inputted the grades for these and everything. And what I'm going to say is it would be to your advantage. It would be to your advantage to go ahead and look at the work that your classmates have submitted. Especially, I would look at all of it, but especially don't underestimate how important example questions are, because example questions, they get your brain meats kind of working so that you can determine, okay, if I get this type of question, this is the database I'm going to. So I would not sleep on looking at the example questions that your classmates have furnished, because those will help you know, okay, so if I get a question that's kind of like that, this is the database that I might want to go to in order to find information on that. So again, I would recommend, and these discussion board, these posts for the database assignment, they'll be they'll be up for the rest of the semester. So if you don't have time to look at them now, that's perfectly fine. But I would recommend you all look at them at some point before the course is over. So I'm just going to put that out there. And with that said, now let's look at some legal forms. Hopefully we will keep this video under 20 minutes. Okay, so I am in Missouri Legal Forms, and this is offered not through the academic library, not through Mizzou's library, just so that we're clear. These are actually offered through, I'm accessing them through Mid-Continent Public Library in the Metro Kansas City area. However, these can be accessed, a lot of public libraries have the legal forms, and the legal forms are, they're available for the different states. It's not just Missouri. So I used this when I was in North Carolina and when I was in South Carolina and so forth and so on. So you may want to contact your local public library, like I said, to see if they have access to Gale legal forms. And if they do, then lucky you, because these are legal forms where you can just basically just download the Word document, print it out, fill in the information that you need for your specific contract or, legal, what have you. Just fill in your information, and a lot of times, if you get both parties to sign, then it is a legally binding legal form, and you don't have to hire a lawyer and draft up a legal form on your own. This is something that you can probably do if you don't have that money. A lot of times this is something that you can do contractually that will again be a legal standing document, and if one party does fail to keep their end of the bargain, then yes, this will stand up in court, as long as the two parties have both signed. So that's something that you will want to keep in mind, is that both parties are going to need to sign. Let's see what happens when I do this. That did not give me what I wanted. Okay, well, still. Alright, so there are two different ways to go about finding things, and that's going to be the case with a lot of your databases, and those two ways are going to be to browse and to search. So, for instance, let's say, and some of these are more popular than others. The most popular searches are over here. Of course, divorce is, that's always a great one. So divorce is over here, the most popular. And I think that is, maybe the divorce forms are included in the marriage, category over here. But you can come over here. And so for Missouri legal forms, there are 98 forms that deal in some way with divorce. A lot of this, are going through family law and that sort of thing. But you can try to find the form that you need, the form that is most applicable to your situation. And then what you can do, so let's say that we needed Alright, so here's a good one. Let's say that in your divorce you are trying to set up visitation guidelines for the children that were produced within the marriage. So what you can do is, I found the family law divorce visitation and the visitation guidelines here. And when you click the link to the form, the first thing you want to do is look at this description, because this description will tell you, it'll give you a little bit of overview information of exactly what the legal form is used for. So in this case, this is a visitation agreement. The form provides a schedule which allots time for visitation to the non-custodial parent of minor children. So if there is a this is defaulting as sole custody, and what you can do is you can kind of alter the content as you need to in order to establish visitation guidelines. And again, once this is signed, this would be a legally binding document, because if it's signed, then that means that it is being agreed to. So if you like this, then and think that this will help, you have samples and then you have downloads. I'm going to go ahead and download. So if I were to download the Microsoft Word version, then I can just click Microsoft Word version, and Word is going to open this for me. And then of course I have to enable editing, but now I have this full document, and I can alter this as needed before it's signed. Now once it's signed, then you no longer are able to alter it, because you can't alter a signed document, but you can alter this in ways that fit that both parties are agreeing on. And then once you've established, I should say, a set of guidelines that both parties are agreeable to, then you can go ahead and have it signed and filed with the courthouse. But again, and I am not a lawyer, and I don't know how legal processes like this work, but I will say, if you are unsure on the ramifications of any of this, I would still recommend to get a lawyer. And I would also say, I repeat, do not give legal advice to your patrons whenever they are using these forms. Okay, so that's what I would say about that. And so, but there are hundreds and hundreds of forms in this database, and again, you have a lot of your most common things. A lot of people, when I was working in the public library specifically, a lot of people needed landlord, tenant, marriage and divorce, will and estate, real estate, name change a few times, and that sort of thing, as well as contracts for service. And that segues us into how else you can find document forms, and that would be to do the search as opposed to the browse. And so if we put in search legal forms, let's say and I'm getting married in December, so let's say that I wanted to hire a DJ for a wedding reception. I think there is a DJ form. If not, then I will. I forgot how to spell DJing, but actually let me pause this so that I can go ahead and find the form and not be tying you all up in time. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pulled up, actually I just did a search for wedding and got all of these things that were returned. And sample letters are good too. So what I probably would want to do if I were to hire a DJ or something to perform entertainment at my wedding, what I would probably do is go to the Contracts Entertainment Self-Employed Wedding Entertainment Services Contract. Click that. Again, you get a little description there, and if you like what you got there, then you can, of course, download. And then again, just fill in the blanks both parties need to sign. I would be the employer, and whoever my DJ would be the entertainer. Now, I can go back, and there are also these sample letters, and sample letters are good to send to, and there are a lot of these. So these are non-legal. They're more so just notices. But if you were to, let's say that I was going to have a band at my wedding, then what you can do is sample letter from wedding planner or consultant to band. This would be something that the wedding planner would probably send, not so much me. And it even says instruction, this is a model letter adapted to your facts, to fit your facts and circumstances. You can fill in all these blanks. You would get rid of that red lettering there, and you would have, you would fill in these pieces too with the information that is accurate to your circumstances. Put it together, and now the band actually has something that they can that they can reference and use, okay? They can have this on file. They know of your intent once they receive this, and so forth and so on. So that's the benefit of that. And like I said, and from here, what I'm going to tell you all to do, and this is what I'm going to tell you to do with all of the check-in videos. I'm not actually teaching you how to use these. I'm not giving you a training on how to use these databases. I'm giving you just a brief overview of them and allowing you to know that these things exist, because a lot of students just don't really know, what's out there. So when I do things like this, it is to, in part, to give you a heads up. Hey, this exists. This is something that you're going to want to pay attention to, because it might come up on the job. And I've never actually used these at the academic library, but I use them at the public library a lot. And like I said earlier, yes, these are the Missouri forms. However, I have known for these forms to exist in North Carolina and South Carolina as well. And so I do believe that most states do have these forms. And now they've got, I'm not going to actually demo this right now because this is new and this was not something I'd seen last time that I accessed this database, but apparently you can now also complete these legal forms online. So that's another nice little new feature that you have there. For more information, you can go to the legal Q&A, help, and all of that stuff here. A lot of helpful information is there. And then from there, what I would say is, if you want to train on this and learn how to use it, then just go ahead and, access this through your local public library, and then just start playing around with it. The only way you learn databases is to get in there and start playing around with them to see what they can do for you. All right, cool. I kept it under 20 minutes, so let's end this now. I am Dr. Jace. Peace and grace. Stay quarantined in place if you are unvaxxed, because you do not want your friends and family to feel taxed, whatever. All right, everybody, have a good week. I am an email away, austinj@missouri.edu. Any place, anytime, any town. I look forward to conversing with y'all some more in the course and next week in my check-in video. Bye-bye.